Welcome to another episode of Design Recharge. I'm your host, Diane Gibbs, and I'm here with my friend Yaksa. That's even better.
That's the other guy.
That's the other triplet. Raksa Yin. And Raksa and I actually have met in person. He's helped me at Creative South, volunteer, and we do a bunch of other things during the year together. And so I'm really, really excited. And he has blown me away. He is humble. Has huge faith when things don't always work out, but he's young, but he has pushed into things and he has more responsibilities because of that. So if you're like, he's just some young punk coming out and doing this stuff, I think he's not a punk at all. I don't think you're a punk, right? You don't think you're a punk. Would you want to be a punk?
I wouldn't mind being a punk. Like, look at the setup behind me.
Yeah. So maybe, but he's full of love. He's full of helping people. When somebody gives him an opportunity, he absolutely takes it. So I know that there have been times when I'm like, yeah, I don't really want that. I don't want to do that. I don't feel ready. I don't know if any of you guys in the chat could relate. If you're saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, that's me. I've definitely said, hey, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Don't put me in, right? Don't put me in, coach. I'm not ready. And I think I've said that. But to me, Raksa doesn't do that. Raksa's like, oh, wow, they want me to do this. I guess I'm going to do it. And I just think that that's really amazing. So we're going to talk about being risk tolerant and risk averse. So, and Iwana's here from Transylvania. So it's good to see you. Okay, Raksa. I know I've known you for maybe 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And I've seen you, I think when I met you, maybe you were working at Huge and then you went to Deloitte. And then was there something in between that and where you are now?
No. Yeah.
Okay. You've been involved with AIGA. You've started things with your church. You've been, I remember when you put on conferences that you had never put on a conference at all, ever, right? And just guys, remember, make sure your little blue thing says 2 panelists and attendees, or only Raksa and I can read your stuff, and Iwana can't see Matt loving on her. So, okay. Okay. I want you to give them, you're in DC, give them a little bit of your background, like did you study design? And then you have been able to move forward fairly quickly in your career, but I think it's because you've said yes to opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, would this be a good time to, I could take over, have a little slideshow for everybody to walk through a bit about my story and about risk. Sounds good?
That sounds awesome. I'd love to see it.
All right.
Brian White is here, coming in from Kansas. It's good to see everybody. Thank you guys so much for making it. We do this every week.
Yeah. Hey everybody. Yeah, I'm Raksa Yin. Hello, Design Recharge. So nice to see everyone. At least your username in the chat and everything. But a bit about me. Yeah, I received my Bachelor of Graphic Design at the Corcoran School of Art and Design in the Washington, DC. It's actually, the school is right next to the White House. It was kind of funny to find a art school in the DC area right there. After my studies, and then even during my studies, I worked at a local and international design agencies, consultancies like, Grafik is where I started out my career after college. And then I went to Huge, Deloitte, and nowadays I'm a VP designer at JP Morgan, creating digital experiences in financial services. I'm still in the DC area, honing my craft here, but like everybody, I think we're all thriving in a remote working world.
And you've gotten a job in a remote world, right? Like you're going to also talk to us about that, like how you navigated getting a new job doing all online interviews, right?
Yeah. That's something else I'm happy to share about, just how a remote virtual interviewing and onboarding was like for me, at least. But more about me is I was born in Thailand, to a son of refugees, and then raised in Philly. And so I have some pictures here of me with some kids. I love volunteering as well. And so this is one fall of working with kids in Chinatown, Philadelphia. I do, since we are a bunch of creative and designer, I do have some samples of my work, just so y'all know what I'm up to. Here's some past work from the past couple of years. By day, I enjoy UI, UX design, whatever the label is nowadays, but I love product design. design system and rapid prototyping. Some of my past clients were from healthcare, transportation, rural, electric, and pharmaceutical. And so here's just some nice mock-ups, some desktop, some mobile screens of some of the things I've created in the past couple of years. Some more stuff is I started graphic design. I still love doing it when I get the chance to. And so in the past and outside of work, I've done things like designing a skateboard on the top left corner, which was the first project I did at my internship after college. But
Wasn't that hanging on your wall at some point? And
yeah,
I
that
was
was
just like, oh
I have a
my gosh,
copy.
that's I just thought it was a cool thing he had on his wall, right? But it wasn't. He made it, and I was like, what? Anyway, okay, keep going.
Yeah, no, I definitely one of my favorite project. Really, a really fun one. No, yeah, just here's some other pieces of work, and as Diane mentioned, on the top right corner, I do design for a Southern Baptist conference in Georgia, and I've been there kind of like pseudo creative director and even lead organizer for that with a small team. And on the bottom left, I'm surprised in my career, I was tasked to draw a unicorn for federal student aid, and on the bottom right, some branding work for the AIGA National for one of their initiatives called Emerge. And the last bit of work is I love doing typography. I love playing with letter form and composition. So whether it's on Procreate or on a bottom left corner playing with clay, that was a fun little project I did one year. And so I like drawing random words or lyrics from songs and quotes from shows like Stranger Things on the top right corner.
What
And
makes
so,
you love type? I keep using the Yeti, and it's dead. I keep
oh
leaning
no,
over to it. I can just do this. What makes you love type?
it's just interesting. Like let's say like a letter A could be executed in so many different ways, but still like one can read it like, oh, that's an A, at least in the English language. And so you can see like the variety of R's in this composition or the variety of E's. Yes, they structurally look the same at their bare bones, but some are squished, some are extended wide, some have more frills. And so typography it's something really fun. It's not a career at the moment, but it's something I just love to just meditate and do on the side on my
So
iPad.
it's relaxing to you. I mean, the clay one is amazing. I'm so glad like I see the other tools, because otherwise I just thought it was like the iPad. So I'm so glad you have that photo in there. Anyway, your type is amazing, and the way you
Yeah.
combine like how the E is with the L and it's hugged by that L. Oh, I love that. Okay, keep going. I just had to
No,
stop and give you some kudos.
that's where my head is. Like, yeah, Ken, I love when an L, like, it's kind of like a forklift, like, picks up a letter. It's just like, that's kind of like my cheat, and you might see it, that's like a pattern here. And so, yeah, typography is really fun. And so, yeah, that's a bit about my back of my work. I guess I do a little bit of everything, and just love doing it all, and I just love design and creativity. I'm so glad to be in this world. And so next, I'm just gonna share a bit more stories about my life and kind of dive into this topic of risk tolerance. And so I want to share some stories. And so I kind of this next couple of slides, I have my life kind of broken down into four chapters. Chapter one, my early years, and how I kind of was introduced to risk. And so I was introduced to risk, or a hello to risk, from learning about my parents' immigration story and my country's Holocaust. I'm Cambodian, by the way, and in the 70s, a bit of history lesson, a dictator took over the country and caused a genocide. It really was terrible years for those people, and it's important for me to know my heritage and where I came from. My father was an army general, and my mother was a young girl, and they somehow escaped Cambodia and fled to Thailand. And I'm grateful that they survived. I mean, that's a big risk. I won't dive too deep into it, but I recommend anybody else to learn about that. That when you're trying to escape the dictatorship and all, and the army surrounding them, leaving a country and trying to get seen, not get caught, you could literally get killed. And so my parents met at a refugee camp, and I'm glad they met because they had my siblings and I, and we were born there along the border of Thailand.
How many
And
kids? How
so,
many kids are in your family?
yeah, I'm a triplet, but we're the youngest. I have three older brothers and one big sister, and so a pretty big family, and we're all pretty spread out in ages. And so, yeah, come from a big family. If anyone else comes from a big family, say woo in the chat. At a young age, I learned early on about sacrifice, courage, and doing whatever it takes to survive. We immigrated here in the States in the early 90s. And so, again, I'm grateful for my parents who came over to a country and knew so little English, leaving behind their home and settled here in the States. And so I learned from them to do my best and not take life for granted. And so for
How
me,
old were you? When you were you alive?
I was alive. I was only like a year and a month old. I was able to track down a letter that my dad wrote down, his like little journal of like we came here in April of '93, and so my birthday's in March, and so and
March of
also by the way,
92.
yes. Oh yeah, I'm a 92 kid, and
Did
also
you
yeah,
see that awesome math I did? Anyway, keep going.
yes, the pieces on the right are lettering I did of my parents for like Mother's Day, just to honor them, and again playing with that typography. And so, again, that joy of creativity and play. And so this next chapter, which I'm calling like the youth years, and it's a years where I kind of like start learning my own owning, or I guess learning writing my own story and learning more of how to navigate. And so. This is going to be a little more lighthearted compared to the last chapter, but I fell in love with creativity at a young age. Creativity allowed me to turn imagination into results that take time and talent. My childhood mentor, Donna Bernick, told me time cannot be returned, and so everything I create, that would take time. I hope will be fruitful. And I guess creativity, there's some risk there. You're just going to iterate and hopefully something good come out of it. And so from a young age, and then let me say from like kindergarten all the way through high school, creativity allowed me to make some sort of mark on this earth. And so taking risks for me was going into the unknown. And I think that's kind of part of it. And so in middle school and elementary school, I was that's when I started becoming like an artist or creative, drawing cartoons and then playing with blocks and shapes, physical block and shape to create abstract landscape. I was trying to find a photo for my teacher and he couldn't find it. But also at the same time, I also got into music, and some of y'all who know me know that I love music as well, or being a musician. And so I was first a clarinetist at a young age. So I don't know if there's anybody else out there who were a Winwood or an orchestra. So shout out to being in orchestra for. And so performance art even got me in front of crowds and got me to like, okay, I need to overcome like stage fright and like play my instrument. And I've been playing instruments since I was like in third grade. For what is that, 10? I don't know, 11.
Hey, can we guess which one you are? Are you? Can I guess?
To be honest, the baby photo on the top right is still a bit of a mystery. I can kind of guess who's who.
Okay, well, what about the older one? I think I'm with Shane that you're in the middle with the spiked hair in the bottom. Is that you?
That's what I'm hoping. I I think it's one to one right here. Yeah, so that's all of us as an infant and all of us as awkward teenagers on the bottom.
Okay, I love it. Okay, keep
Yeah.
going.
Going to more awkward faces stuff. Here, me and my brother with some crazy haircuts in our band. I was lucky to go to an art and design high school as well, and there I was able to dabble even more into different mediums. So still in this season of I'm still learning. So like, where can I go with creativity? Where can I go for this skill that I'm trying to hone? And so I immersed myself in more into art and design and more into music. I started my high school band as a senior. This picture was during our senior show, and by the way, why I was dressed up, I was also going to prom immediately after the show, so that was a pretty busy night to do so much. Another thing I did in high school was I spent my Saturday mornings going to a pre-college program at a local city university, and so I did oil painting, industrial design, screen printing, a lot of different art and design courses on Saturdays. I could spend my time behind a TV, internet, or with friends, but I took on a 6 day of classes. And I just hope that even at the time, I hope this is time well spent. And so for me, like the lesson here during those years was like a season of risk taking will be a season of growth.
Okay, I have a question. So
Yeah.
is that always even like were your brothers like that too? Like were the three of y'all all like that? Did y'all all take classes or just you?
It was just me. The brother that's in that picture, he did it for one semester. I did it for 3 years. I was blessed with a scholarship from the university. Students who want to take classes on the Saturdays but couldn't afford it, apply for a scholarship, and I was given a scholarship to cover art supplies and cover the classes. And so I applied every semester, starting from my sophomore year, fall all the way to the end of like my senior year in the fall season. So yeah, I guess 2 3 years. And that's what I did on Saturdays from like 9 to 2, with just immersing myself in the arts.
Love it.
This next chapter, maturing, this is where my college days. So naturally at 17 years old or graduating high school, college is the next step. And so I love art and design, and I was like, oh, there's this thing called art school or art university, college and things. And so let me go there. I was glad to be accepted to a couple art and design schools in like DC, Boston, California, but I decided to plant myself in DC. I actually wanted to continue this route of being an artist, doing screen printing and fine art, but my school didn't have that as a major, and also my scholarship wouldn't cover that kind of program. So I stumbled upon this thing called graphic design, and I had some idea like what is this graphic design, and so I picked that one over like other programs like animation or photography. And so fast forward, I have no regret going to graphic design. I think about this, I share this story, or I think about this moment a lot, and like, you know, it was really with a shot in the dark. I really did not know what, after 4 years, what could graphic design do for me. And I thought I wanted to be an artist. I thought I wanted to study screen printing, but I guess what was destined for me wasn't what I wanted, wasn't what was destined for me. And so during college, I had a bunch of random design jobs. Okay, not so random, but like I freelanced for a career coach, work at a small design agency, a church, and a global financial institution. In those years, the risk was like I wanted to put myself out there to make opportunities possible for me.
Do you think you were an extrovert?
I'm in between. I have my moments. I need my me time. Yeah.
So was it hard to put yourself out there, or was it because you just kept doing it over and over that it got easier?
No, it wasn't. I wish it was easy. I definitely had to coach myself a ton and really kind of like do some pep talk or something, look in the mirror, you know, slap my cheeks or something, rehearse my slides and things, and just like I have the skills. I can do this. I could bring something to the team, and also stay humble that the team could teach me as well.
So that's important. That's important because other people can do that too. So we got to slap our face. I don't know how hard, but we got to psych ourselves up, and you have to practice is what I heard. Those are three things. I slap myself when I'm really tired, when I'm driving. That's the only time I slap myself. I'll try it when I'm scared. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's okay to talk to yourself, you know, you may look crazy, but at least you're not going to sound crazy once you're ready to, you know, be extroverted or talk and sell something or show your ideas. Continue on in this chapter. After graduating college, I personally wanted my first 2 years in the design industry to be very meaningful. And so what's great about having brothers, we also created sibling rivalries, or more like a bet. And so we kind of made a bet of, okay, of the three of us, we all kind of graduate around the same time. And we're like, hey, in 10 years, how successful will we be? We didn't really put a number to it. We kind of maybe guess like maybe it's awards, or maybe it's a title, or and so we're just like, okay, cool. Well, we're all the same age. We'll see how, you know, we're in different my brothers are not, well, one is an architect, one is not a designer or any creative, but that bet and it kind of really kind of helped me like, all right, let's do this.
So how did you define success back then? So okay, so you have one brother that's a math teacher, I think, right? And he's a missionary, maybe?
Yeah, he was a math teacher, yes.
But now he's a missionary full time.
Yes.
Okay, and then you have another brother who's an architect?
Oh, that same brother, the math teacher, missionary, he studied architecture, same brother.
Okay, so what about the other brother?
He's in a community nonprofit, community development nonprofit, and education.
So at that time, how did you define success? What was going to be success then?
Like I said, it wasn't like salary or a job title. I think it was maybe living conditions, or how will we feel about our life in 10 years, or by the time we're 30 or something. It's more like, because we grew up in the hood of North Philadelphia, and around us wasn't the most inspiring like neighborhood or inspiring environments. You know, we felt like with even the older folks in our life when we were in teenagers, that like, oh, you're from the hood, you're gonna stay in the hood. You know, you're not gonna get out of it. But we're thankful to like the churches that we're a part of and mentors we had at a young age that said like, hey, you're not trapped here. You can go somewhere else. You have skills, you have talents. Yeah, a mentor, mentors and teachers acknowledged that I had something with creativity, whether it's art or design or something. Like they knew creativity was going to be something big in my life. You know, they just couldn't like say like you're going to be a designer or an art director or something, or run an agency. And so my brothers and I, even the three of us, we gave each other confidence, so having a group of people that just acknowledge each other and recognize the skills that one another has, and know that, like, okay, I know we're living in North Philly, but no, we're not gonna stay here. We can totally find opportunities out there, and we definitely had to make the opportunity possible for us. And so, yeah, and so yeah. Our success wasn't measured on, like, okay, being a millionaire. No, it was more like, can we just get out of Philly, and can we put ourselves and contribute and make a bigger impact in this world in whatever way we think it is, through design, through missionary, or through a nonprofit in South Philadelphia.
Did any of your brothers or you ever deal with that mental battle of, man, they're doing so awesome and I'm sucking? Or did any of them, and you can always use the safe word as rooster, and I'll just move on. That's the safe word.
No, I don't think so. We try to be more uplifting to one another with this battle or this rivalry. I don't think we ever felt envious of one another, at least to my face. And so we try our best to be encouraging. There was many times where we call each other and ask for a pick me up, or ask for strength or prayer, and, like, it was great to have a brother that just tell you, like, you got this, you overcome this before, you can overcome it again.
I love that. I think Shane Helm, he has like a team. He has like so many people in his family, so that I think it's really important. I think my mom's one of 11, so I think that having that group is really powerful. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. No, Shane and his six kid.
Whatever. It's like 80. He has like 80 kids, people. I'm just kidding, Shane. Keep going.
Yeah. So, like, I was able to accomplish a lot actually within my first 2 years. Pictured here is 2 months after graduating college, I participated in a DC design battle, competing against 4 other designers in this, like, Iron Chef kind of competition, where every round, there's 3-4 rounds, and every round someone's going to get cut. And you're at the last 2 face to face. And I was surprised that, like, I won this design battle. And
wait. Oh, wait. I didn't even know about this design battle thing. So you had enough confidence. So I would have been like, oh no, I'm never doing that. I'm not confident enough, even though I think I'm an okay designer. But, like, what was it that you were just like, oh, it's a challenge? Like, this is risk tolerance in action early. How old were you? 25, 20?
No, I was only 22.
22. So was it just sheer, at 22, you don't know anything and you're like, I can do that. I can rock it. Or was it something else?
No, I saw the opportunity, the agency, the design agency, they call out on Twitter and, like, hey, tweet us back if you want to participate. And I'm, like, looking at the requirements, and they had some people, some participants, competitor booked on the website. I was like, you know what? Let me just tweet them. And I tweet at them, and they email me like, hey, and actually, like, on a Monday, like, hey, can you participate this Friday at this live design battle? I was like, oh shoot, I have 4 days to prep. And so, like, yes. And I was a young designer, and I it's similar to what I guess they're going into art school. Like, I want to immerse myself into this industry, or actually when I get out of college, I just, you know what, let me put myself out there in the design community, because it was a live event. People showed up to this agency and, like, watch you and your screen, and you moving your mouse and everything, designing on the fly. And so it's just, I always think more just, I didn't think about the prize. The prize was a Wacom tablet. I was like, ooh, which I still have, and still using here and there. But for me, it was just like, I really want to put myself out there, kind of be part of this design community in my own city, and see where things go. I wasn't trying to think of, like, win or lose, and not try to beat myself up afterwards. Just like, this was a great growing opportunity. And so some more successes, I guess, or accomplishments were that, remember that skate deck I mentioned earlier? So that was, like, the first project I did as a design intern at my agency within that first month. And I just, like, okay, I'm just illustrate this skateboard real quick and just on to the next project. Well, the agency submitted to a bunch of, like, competition, and it won a bunch of awards. So it's published in a lot of different design magazines, like Communication Arts and Print, and a couple other. And here's me winning the award for AJ50, one of 50 designers in the DC area, with this unique award for Design for Good, because the skateboard was a nonprofit piece. And so I just did that skateboard just to do it, because that was my job. But I appreciate that folks recognize, and design industry leaders recognize, that this is, like, really cool work. And so here's me with my big hooray, winning this award. And also that same year, I got my dream job at an agency. And so I thought I wasn't going to be working there until like 5 more years. I really wanted really experienced designers, but I got a call, an email from a recruiter, and he, asked for a chat, and then I got an offer. I'm like, oh, I'm working at a place that I really want to work at since I was in college.
So what was a dream job to you at that point? And what were you going to be doing? So, because you do a lot of web, you do a lot of UX, UI. So what was a dream job to you at that time?
Yeah, I mean, a dream job would have been like working at a international design agency, working with brands, big name brands like at Google or an Apple or something like. And so there's several agencies out there that kind of have that clientele, and so this agency had that clientele, and I knew that anybody that worked there had to be really polished and really a good designer, and so I really want to work there, but the opportunity came in sooner than I thought, and I'm just like surprised. I don't think my name is easy to find, or like you don't randomly just search for Raksa on Google and then find my portfolio, or look at DC graphic designers or something. And I'm just blown away just when those things kind of come, and I just couldn't say no. And I left one design agency job for another design agency job, and I grew a ton at that dream agency. No, this is the last chapter that's still being written. That's happening right now. And so, as we kind of learned from my stories, I always had this mentality to not see failure as a setback, but as a growing opportunity. I don't know if it was from a talk or an article, but I learned the terminology growth mindset. This mindset is seeing failure as an opportunity to grow, and the opposite would be fixed mindset, which is seeing failure as your limits. And around the same time, I also learned the phrase abundance mindset, which is seeing the glass half full and having a more optimistic view of the situation. And the opposite of abundance is scarcity, which is seeing glass half empty, and you step back in fear during hard times. And so when I learned this definition, it was really good to put a label into how I think and how I develop. And so overall, I felt like how I operate is just I operate in a level of learning, and so like I would recommend all of you to look into growth and abundance mindset as well. I mean, I still do feel failure here and there, but in these events of that occurrence, I do have to tell myself that it's an opportunity to grow, opportunity to learn. And so I have this quote that we see on the slide from Henry Matisse, and it's on my coffee mug, that creativity takes courage. And that kind of sums up my career journey so far and why I take a risk. And the question below is actually a quote from Rodney Scott on Chef Tables. And he asked himself this question during his morning walks: what did I do yesterday that I can improve today? And I really like that question a lot. I do like a to-do list every day for work, and I have a to-do list for everything else. I'm a person that like checking boxes because I show progress. But in order to check those boxes, it does take productivity and courage to accomplish them. And here's some photos, just like me on a panel and me showing my work to students at a local university, and just putting myself out there and sharing my story.
Okay, wait, I got to say something about this picture. It looks like you might have not been, unless Regina can write her name so well, it looks like maybe you had to do your own like little card. So they're like, hey, we need a panelist. Can you do this? Again, this is saying yes, maybe. I mean, I could be reading into this, and maybe.
Oh no, that was a typo. No, on the other side of my side of the fold had the K and the S swap. So it was Raska. And I told the professor, like, yeah, there's a typo on this. And so I had to rewrite my name on the other side of the paper. Thankfully, it wasn't as bad as Russell, as Shane put it in the chat.
That's okay. I called you the wrong thing for 2 years, and then you're finally like, that's not how you say my name. I was like, what? I've been saying your name wrong. So please, people, if I say your name wrong, I just want to say it right. So,
no, don't worry. There's a couple other people that might say the same thing. And so I'm going to kind of wrap up here and get to more questions in a bit. But I got this advice from a friend, Fabian. Turn the energy from your anxiety into energy of excitement. We were meeting during that season where I was let go from my job, and it was my absolute low, and I felt like a failure. But he shared with me this quote, and even when I shared with him the news, he was like, "Congratulations!" And I'm like, "Why are you saying congratulations?" But I'm not like a mindset expert per se, but sometimes during these hard moments, hard times, we need to shift our perspective to see the outcome of possibilities. Anxiety to me was my fixed mindset that held me back to thinking I could be more, but changing it into a different kind of energy, different attitude, I felt like I could do anything. I really appreciate Fabian and him being part of my life and sharing this quote with me, and I want to share this with all of you too. And so, in wrapping up, all of those phrases I showed in my chapter, I kind of live out these phrases every day. Every day it's a hello to risk and a hello to challenges. Deep down, I do my job to make my parents proud, but I also do this to tell a story of a kid who came from North Philly, and through creativity, he has the possibility of an abundant future. So, someone that looks like me could do what I do. I take risks to see if I am successful or I need to learn. As I've been sharing my journey, I'm surprised when I am, I guess, successful or something. I grow tremendously or get recognized for my hard work. But I want to share with all of you that whether you win or lose today, you are growing and you're not the same person as you were the day before. And so for me, facing a risk takes courage, and it leads to opportunities and a better me.
So I have some questions, and if you guys have questions, I can actually ask them. So that's what's great about Design Recharge. I try to read your questions and ask those as well. You can always send them to me before, but me and you are in a Bible study, and Brian, if you don't mind, if you're listening and maybe working, you can pop it into the chat. It's called A Prayer for Designers. So if you ever need a prayer, you can actually send a tweet, and I saw you there. I just didn't know if you were paying attention, Brian. But if you can put it like the Prayer for Designers, I think it's prayerfordesigners.com, and then there's a Slack channel, and you can tweet to whatever, and we will pray for you. Thank you. And I'll put that link underneath as well. But Raksa and I met there. And so it's a weekly thing that we do on Tuesdays. I kind of took last year off. Sorry about that. But I remember when you lost your job. Can you just take them through this? Because this was a big thing. And you were like, you weren't expecting it. So just take us through a little bit of that mindset. So this could be a big client that we have a retainer with. Mm-hmm. If we are, solopreneurs, we have a retainer with that just all of a sudden ended, right? And so it's kind of in that same, can you take us through that and what you thought and then how you got through it, how you just kept at it after?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean that I can remember that Thursday morning at 10 a.m. having a one-on-one meeting with my former creative director and telling me the news, and by 10:30 you're home in your bedroom and just like, wow, I'm not doing my job right now. I thought I was a failure. I thought I did something wrong. At the time, my identity was revolved around a company name, and when I was stripped away from that, I was so unsure of where and what to do and who I am, and also like then you think of the other times you might have felt like I lost a freelance client or missed a deadline or disappointed a colleague, and so you just at this absolute low place. But I had to like give myself that pep talk. I need to slap my cheeks a little bit. I'm sorry, there's like a dumpster truck outside in case you hear it, but I moped and I cried for a little bit, but I had to pick myself up, and I went to the Apple store and bought myself a new laptop and started working on my portfolio. And that time off was great because I never gave myself a proper vacation. So I traveled and I enjoyed the world, and I biked around San Francisco and stuff. There's this Esther Perel I want to share for anyone who ever been through like a low time. From her How It Works Up podcast. But this event is part of your origin story, but it shouldn't be a dominant theme. And so I just, again, like maybe it's that shift of mindset that like, this is not the dominant theme. Failure is a big F. It's not the theme of your life. It's just part of your origin story or part of your life portfolio. Life portfolio coined by my girlfriend, Pim.
So then you interview, and this is before COVID, you get a job. I guess I can say where you worked.
Yeah, at Deloitte.
At Deloitte. So you went from huge to Deloitte, and then and you were, what was your title? You were going in, and I remember one of the first things you were like, wow, I'm presenting to the client this week. And I mean, and you didn't think you were coming in at maybe that level. You thought somebody else would be doing this. But this is one of those ways that I've seen you like push into something.
Yeah.
where again, this could be a risk, but you're like, hey, they think I can do it. I think
Yeah.
I'm just going to go with this. I'm going to push in.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah,
big.
totally. Yeah. And just to tweak that a little bit, yeah. I didn't get to present to the clients, but I accepted a new job after that season of vacation and re-energizing myself, and I accepted a job at Deloitte just as a designer there. And they put me on this really cool project that I read, which I can share, but I can't. But I thought going in, I was just going to sit back and just kind of follow commands. But when I saw the needs for a more organized design system, or the way we work, and a better product design cycle, as I just like I couldn't just sit back. I just had to like say something. And so I'm glad it put me I am glad I put myself out there and contribute my past experience there, because it did allows me. I became like the design system guru at Deloitte afterwards. A lot of people just like want to poke my brain about that. And I was like, oh yeah, so you could do like this and that, and so it led to other opportunities for me to teach other teams of how to better their product, and better the way better how they work together and how they build something and hand things off. And so I thought again, yeah, like I thought I was going to be sitting back and chill, but like there was a need there, and I just I raised my hand and said, "Hey, I can help out." And from all of that, I was able to gain the trust, and be the point person from by my creative directors and art directors to like to help out. And so yeah, it was that's definitely something that was a surprise to me, but it was definitely an honor just to be put in that kind of position.
So did you have to do that pep talk, slap your face before you went in that morning? Or did you go like to the bathroom before you were presenting and kind of pep yourself up?
Yeah, no, I learned to stop like tatting my face because it got too swollen, and so I learned this other tip from a product manager is crunch your toes while talking, and I guess that just I think that just helps you just be more calm while presenting and things. It's just one thing one of my one thing I do in my prep work is writing down my script, whether pencil paper or if you're a notepad kind of person on a keyboard. It's nice just to just pour out your thoughts and what is your thinking behind your work. There's this quote by Einstein: if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. And so writing helps just really synthesize and turn all your 6 paragraphs of thoughts into maybe a 1 paragraph of thoughts, and then verbally it becomes a couple sentences of thoughts. And so that's just how I process and how I need to kind of like prep for presentation and talks.
Okay, so one of the things I love, we don't have that much time left, so I want to make sure we get this in. So you had tons of your work behind you. It was like the skateboard, but I never knew that you had done it, right? So you're super humble. And how did you set up your space for doing, because now you're not at Deloitte, now you're at JP Morgan and Chase. And how do you set up yourself, get yourself psyched up for doing interviews or meetings with people? Because if you're not great at talking about yourself, you are
Yeah.
great talking and explaining your work, but in an interview you really have to be able to like hone in about what is great about you, right? And how you could fit or how you could solve problems. Can you talk a little bit about physical space, but also about just psyching yourself up for Zoom
Yeah.
interviews?
You're kind of seeing a live demonstration right here, like a lot of hand gestures, a lot of like, I'm even trying to be mindful of like, I want to stay centered to this like camera, and even like looking at the camera or in proximity. I think that's really helpful. Also, I mean, I try to dress like you still going to a job. We're still home. I have pants on today. You just gotta feel prepared. Gotta feel like gold, I guess, and ready. Oh crap, I had something else. I think smiling helps, or just showing some sort of emotion. I think compared to being in a conference room where you could just be solo and maybe that those under the tone noise get passed by, but now we have literal microphones here and stuff. Everything get picked up, and so it's a new type of like I guess emotional intelligence to learn in a virtual space of like how to respect one another and like, hey, you go and then you go. We've all been there, like the whole hey, you're on mute. Oh, sorry, you go next. No, you go, kind of thing. It's really you really have to get creative of like now you're not pacing back and forth. I'm just sitting in this chair, and so it's all about up here, and we're trying to dominate this square of a thumbnail that we are all in now. In terms of like just like I think we were talking about like people and I guess kind of building relationship and trying to be just a good team player. I had this note to self in my own journal of like three things I think about was relating, talking to your team, and function with the team. And so, relate to the team, someone bring themselves to you, be an active listener and see what your teammate is trying to get at, talk to your team. I think this could be a straightforward approach, but it's something that we do every other day. Just be human, just talk to one another, and now see with those two function. How do you function? You have to know how to manage your time, how to keep others inspired, keep yourself inspired, trusting your intuition. And so I try to keep those three things in mind when interacting with people and building a relationship, especially in this remote space.
Okay, so Matt has a question. I want to make sure I get it. And then I want to ask you about your design journal. But this is kind of like helping you reflect and go through. But let's answer Matt's question first. So what would you say to new designers who are beginning their journey or trying to find clients, make a living, finding their way? What risks do they need to take? And it could be somebody new to being on their own, or somebody it doesn't necessarily mean it's a 22-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, Matt's question reminded me of my mentee who I'm helping out still, like right now. He's a emerging designer. He graduated during this pandemic this past winter, and I'm trying to get him into this industry. And so one thing I'm doing for him, or I think any new designer should do, is network. And I know networking in a virtual space could be challenging, could be hard, since we're on one Zoom and another Zoom, and still on a computer. But I feel like that's the only way we still put ourselves out there, additional to having an online presence and showing off your work. And so I've been trying to. For him, I've been bringing in my friends to speak to him and give him advice, and he's sharing his portfolio with them to put it under their radar in case there's an internship opportunity ready. But like high level, like networking is one thing. If they're still willing to grow and look for opportunities, like cold calling, email to agency, to folks, to somebody at a place, or even like someone like a Diane or you like Matt, like they should just feel like not be afraid to reach out. I think we're human. We might be a little delayed in that response, but if we see and understand that someone is like, hey, I want to do what you do. I'm from this kind of background. How can I get there? I think even each other sharing our knowledge, it's helpful. And
let me ask you this question about, so in this turnover, and I don't know exactly when you started this Dear Design Letter to Self, Surviving the Design World, but I want you to talk about how this project has helped you face some of these hard times.
Yeah. So I have a journal for myself called Dear Design, Surviving the Design World. And this was more like a letter to self, a letter to a younger me. And maybe one day I'll publish this thing. It definitely is more catered to like emerging designers, of just like the how to be a designer kind of thing, than one of many books that's out there. But at least from my own perspective, my own lens. Going back to what I was talking about writing for presentation, writing about my own story, and about how I got through something, how I got through a layout of how I build my portfolio, or how do I network. My Dear Design is my way of just synthesizing my thoughts and in a journal. And so I have it, it's just an ever-growing document. And I have just like a lot of like categories or subjects I want to write about. But writing is great. Writing, I know I don't do it enough, and I should do more, but it's great to even, for me, my consumer, my potential reader is like a younger me. And so what would me want to hear? And now I think about, okay, someone that looks like me, how could they digest this? And so it's not public, it's still personal, but yeah.
But it helps you process, but then it also helps you as you are mentoring people or talking to people, and you can give encouragement because you've thought about it.
Yeah, and I turned some of my writing into like a simple Google slide, and I would share to my mentee, and so I hope it helps some. But once it's more refined, I hope to turn it to, I don't know, a blog or talks in the future. but it's nice to have that collection of writing.
Okay, so I want to ask you two more questions. Hopefully we can get them done within.
Hmm.
We started a little late, so maybe we'll get an extra
Yeah.
3 minutes out of you. Hopefully. So I want to know about how you build trust with a team. So a new team. So you're going into Deloitte or you're going into JP Morgan and Chase. How do you build that? But is it the same as you do with a client? Because I know that at Huge, you had people who were like, oh man, we are so sorry to see you go, and it was just times probably they had a insight into what was coming. Who knows?
Yeah.
But like, how do you do that? How would you tell me, like, Diane, you need to make sure, is it just about these physical skills and the emotional intelligence, physical reading body language and things like that?
Actually, I mean, the answer is like kind of similar to I did what I did before. It's like that little three step of relate, talk, and function. I would also add that like along with our own technical creative skills, these people skills are just as creative or just as important, and something that we definitely need to hone and practice more and more. And so I kind of still practice those three things I said earlier about relating and talking and function. And at least with colleagues compared to clients, I could be a little more personal and like be a little more human. And if you hear a little disgruntledness in their voice or just see like their energy they're bringing is kind of love, like maybe ask if, hey, how's things going? How are you feeling? Are you overworked or do you need more resources? Do you need a pep talk or something? And so, building a relationship is also a creative skills to build up and improve on a daily basis.
Okay, so what about when you're, and this may be very similar. I realize these two questions are very similar and you've kind of answered these, but I kind of just want to break it down if we can. And I do want to see if you have faced any discrimination based on your age or race or, I think about like if say you're in a meeting with a client and you're the one that's leading the charge. Or maybe it's just a meeting with just you and your team and you have an idea and you want to sell that idea to the team. Like, I think we should do this. Or even some people have a hard time just sharing it. It's not even like, hey, we got to do this, but it's just even putting that idea out there. So these are all things that we all go into. So is there other prep? Do you write it down like a script, like you would if you were doing a presentation with a client, so that you are thinking about what things they might come up that might be like they might say this or they might say this, like you're prepping like you would be if you were a lawyer?
For me, like this one's more of just a shift of mindset. Like, and I wasn't personally discriminated about my race before. Definitely age. I felt like sometimes, I like to flip that lens or flip the situation and how I perceive the situation as growing up and from my art school to even some of the patch job I've had, it wasn't a very diverse environment, and so the world around me or the places I was at wasn't really. It felt like it wasn't built for me. And so instead of like kind of seeing it as a disadvantage or being discouraged, I kind of flip it to like, hey, well now I'm a culture add here. Instead of being a culture fit, like I'm not gonna fit. It's like I'm a culture add, and so seeing that as more of advantage and see that like who I am is unique, and it's also a unique addition to the wider company story or mission or the team itself. And so I'd rather be a culture add than try to be a culture fit.
That's powerful. Okay, so Juan has a question. Juan's coming in from Phoenix, and he says, it's sort of related to Matt's question about what do you suggest as far as developing your design skills? I know that you're always working on your skills. I'm always working on my skills too. But what if, so say it's a mom returning or somebody who's been doing something else and now they're focusing on, they're coming back into the industry and they realize, wow, there's all this UX UI. Or you've been a print designer and now you're going to do more web, or you're a print designer and now you're going to do more UX. It's making that pivot, making that. So I want to say, I don't know if that's what he's meaning, but I think that that's a very realistic. A lot of us are there. So how do you know when your work is at a professional level? How would you tell him or anybody to find or where it might be lacking? What would be some examples or things that you would tell them to do?
I mentioned earlier, like my hand lettering was more just like a hobby and just for fun and like a passion project. I mean, passion projects are one way to learn and grow, and really just you're your own, like, I guess, blocker or challenger here. But I know in the professional setting, it's just kind of different. But like, um, I felt like I was also kind of hard at my dream agency because also my hand lettering skills, because it come in handy later. That like there was this marketing project, and some of the work was some hand lettering, and I stepped up and like, hey, art director, I look at my Instagram. I do this kind of stuff too, and I was part of the project, and I'm thankful to contribute and like use what I do at night in my daytime. I was literally with paint and a brush and like drawing letters for a Instagram post. And like, this is cool. This is great. And so I think I don't know. I think about a couple of things of like whether it's just proof in the pudding of what you can do, or show that you want to be a sponge and want to learn, and hopefully your company could at least pay for education or spare the time that like, hey, I'm going to allocate 10 hours next week into learning this, and with the hope that like I'm going to contribute these learning skills into this project. Again, we try and be better than the person the day before, right?
Would you also suggest maybe they get somebody who they admire to
Yes.
meet with them on a regular basis so that they can get some feedback on either where their design skills need some refining, and maybe they pick different people, one as a typographer, one as an illustrator, one as if they can't find it all in one person?
You're hitting the net. You read my mind. I don't think I need to. Yeah, no. Then like the other one is finding peers or finding someone to review your work and tell you like it's just up to standards. Creating that accountability is also important. And if I know passion project, you kind of become your own echo chamber and you just like point stuff out and this is just for me. But if you really want that passion project to be more reality, talk to folks who are doing it. Who are doing it, and then ask them like, can you review? Can we talk? Even asking other friends that might be there, or even having a collective of folks to like kind of give you that real talk. And you have to really be like humble to like, accept critical feedback, but know that it's coming from a good place, and know that anyone that you seek advice from, they want to see you do your best and be your best and really do what you love.
I wasn't planning on this because I didn't know this question was coming, but this is something that I do. But I think that you can figure out, you can build your own little thing. But I do a mastermind group, and it is exactly that. So for 12 weeks, you have a goal. And if you're trying to improve a skill, you have to present that skill every third week. And it's with these people who love you. They might not know you yet, but they love you and they want you to grow. They don't see you as competition. I know Matt's been in it, and Doc's been in it, and Jacob's been in it. That are here. I know Brian White's been in it as well. And so it's, to me, having something like that and Maura's here, she's been in it too. But what's best is if you can get people who you appreciate, right? And that they can also give you feedback. I think if you can get one person, it's fine. But if you can get a group that will meet with you, you're going to give them feedback and they're going to give you feedback. I actually think that it's really nice to have both sides, because then you also see things that in other people that also give you confidence. Rex, I know you've done this. You see this as you have mentees, right? You're like, oh, wow, I wish I would have known that. And it may be like, oh, I didn't know, people didn't know that. And then you realize you might have the superpower that other people didn't have, or Matt, he'll see something in somebody's illustration that they just need to tweak, but because he's done it for 40 years, or he's been drawing and he knows this, it's just second nature to him, but it's not second nature to me. And so I think having a safe place to present, I don't think the internet is, I don't think sharing it on Instagram is a great place to ask for feedback. I think you really need a safe place, but these are things you can build on your own. Just like Raksa said, with your peers. I know some of my students have done this after they've graduated. They've had like these alumni groups that meet once a week. And I just think that doing something like that, having a focus goal, I call it Power Station, and I'll be getting applications later in the week. But if you get on Design Recharge, if you get on the email list, I'll send you a link and just check it. It'll not be on Tuesday, or Wednesday when I send that, but that's what it is. So, oh, there we go. Jacob just did it. But anyway, I do think that those things are important. I wanted that you have one more question that was so good that I just can't let go without it. What have you done and you've gone over this the whole talk, really, but what have you done to prepare yourself to be willing and okay to take more chances? Is it you do little things like you try new foods every day, or you try new things once a year, or like, what is it that we could do in our life so that we can be more willing to be risk tolerant instead of risk averse?
Hmm. I'm trying to remember this quote from like an Australian athlete that I had written down. And I don't even follow sports, but it's you. I think we shouldn't see success as just one massive thing. I think we need to see success and wins even at the little things on a daily basis. Because all those little wins, all those little build-ups, so little building blocks, um, at the end of the year, it's going to be one big win. But we can't just think of just in one day or in 24 hours, like this is going to be the big challenge, a big risk and success that as a type of risk, this is the outcome. I'm going to be amazing. I'm going to be like number one at the top of, I don't know, something. And so I recommend the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. Your development should be in like at one, like, you're working on one little bit. So you can't just do 100% in one day. I think you really have to like make it more specific and tangible. Because if you're too ambitious, then I think you could burn yourself. And I have my moments where I am too ambitious, and then what I sacrificed was, I don't know, sleep, or what I sacrificed is my health. And so you really have to balance it all. But you have to understand that, identify the little accomplishments as a big wins.
Well,
Yeah.
and something that I know that two people, Paul has done this and Shane has done this, is they have written. Sometimes if we have to-do lists, I'm like you, I like to check things off a box. But if you're only just checking things off a box and you're not, because there could be like, oh my gosh, I got nothing done today. But maybe at the end of the day or at the end of the week, you say, wow, I learned this week. I learned this week. I learned this week. It may not have been, I couldn't have gotten 5 boxes checked off. I only got 1 box checked off. But by the end of the week, now I realize, wow, I had to learn this new thing. And now these are new skills you can either put on your resume or you can talk about. And I think being able to do that is really critical in getting new clients or new jobs, that you are very much like a sponge and you're willing to learn, right?
Yeah. I think we need to like kill or remove the idea of like failure, or remove the idea that like I am setting myself back. No, it's like okay, I didn't win, but what I did win was learning, or something I didn't know before, and be okay with that. So I get that is, I guess, more of a growth and abundance mindset right there. Yeah, no, in the more corporate setting, there's this thing called OKRs, objectives and key results. Whether it's like you're setting up a certain thing you want to accomplish, and what does that result look like. And so businesses do this all the time, whether per quarter or per year, just like, this is the goal, did we succeed? And when they do the task, achieve the goal, achieve the objective, what is the result? Did it match the expected key result? And so you could possibly do another personal OKRs for yourself.
Yeah. Oh, and I think that the thing is, it has to be measurable. It's like, I need to be able to do this within 30 minutes. Like if it used to take you 2 hours, now I'm going to have this where I could come up with this, or I spend 30 minutes doing this, or I spend 2 hours doing it instead of 10 hours or something. So I'm getting quicker with a tool, or quicker with concepting or ideation, that you find other things, but it can't be like I'm better. And it has to be also something you can control. Like I can control putting work out on Instagram once a day, right? Maura did this 100-day project and she's never stopped. It's way more than 100 days. She illustrates something every day. But sometimes it's important to do that with somebody. So accountability is real helpful to do in the beginning. But you can't say, I'm going to get 5 new clients. No, you can talk to 5 new leads. That's what you can control. But you can't make somebody sign a piece of paper, I think. Raksa, this has been great. I feel like it was like having Pim on here, where we were like rapid fire. We were talking, she talked so fast and I talked fast, and you were having to talk fast to try to get everything right. You left us with so many really good things, way more than just slapping my face, I think. Right. But I think it's this mentality of that you need those people. You need the people around you. So you have Pim, you have your brothers, but I think that's that part. You always have that grounding that of what these people love you.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important. I want to let you answer this question, but I've also put in the chat and at the very top, if you're watching on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast, if you're looking for his links, they're right at the top of the thing down below or wherever it is on your podcast thing. But it's Raksa Yin, RAKSAYW. No, there's no W. RAKSAYIN. What is wrong with me? .com. That's it.
Yeah.
And you're _ RAKSA on Twitter and Raksa Yin on LinkedIn, and then _ Raksa, which is amazing that you got that, on Instagram. So super, super easy. I hope you guys will follow him. But if you want it, they're going to be underneath, or you can always check it out. All the links in the show notes will be at rechargingyou.com/385. But I'd love for you to answer what's next, and then also what is your greater purpose and how are you living that out today?
Yeah, I'll answer that second one, the greater purpose one. I mean, my greater purpose is to inspire people, bring joy to their life, and really don't be a jerk. Simply. And what's next is more passion project. This job I have currently is still kind of new. I am less than a year in, and I'm stepping into bigger shoes, and we'll see where things go. So far, I've gotten good feedback, and me trying to be a leader at the company and at my work. Hopefully, I'll write some more about their design. And maybe it'll go public. Keep me accountable. Maybe I'll follow up. And I do have like a dear design equivalent to my music side, and so my love for music, and so writing about that too. But yeah, more passion projects, more growing in the day to day, and yeah, hopefully I see everybody on the internet or anywhere.
Or at Creative South. Hopefully we get to be in person next April. And but Raksa, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming and doing this with me finally, and for being humble, but also being willing to just put yourself out there and saying yes instead of just saying I'm not enough. So it's really, really, really inspiring for me. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, everybody, you are enough. You're more than enough. And I hope everyone have a good day. Thank you for tuning in.